Hey, what's good, Gang Green? Covering the New York Jets roster as a whole today, pretty much position by position. I wanted to get into pretty much what are some of the more critical questions at each position that we need to find answers to during this season, and seeing how that plays out. So, starting with the quarterback position, I would say Zach Wilson definitely has the most complete roster on the offensive side of any recent quarterback in memory for the New York Jets. Mark Sanchez was the last one who maybe had a complete team. The offensive line was pretty solid. We had a great running game. We had Braylon Edwards, and a couple other receivers there, like Moss, that could still contribute quite a bit for him. So there was definitely a lot relying on him, bringing in Holmes, things like that. The question that I would have, or that I would say needs to be answered, and we won't find out to the end of the season, is will we see production from him that is more closely similar to what Sanchez and Darnold and Geno Smith have been able to produce, or will we see him actually break the 20 touchdown marker? I think that's really critical for us because that'll be a huge sign to see where the offense is as opposed to what we've been running over the last, the various systems the last 10 years or so. So I want to see if the offense can be consistent in that manner and if we'll have, a better touchdown to interception ratio from him. The second piece would be for the running game. Will the running back by committee approach pretty much take over the entire course of the season, or will we see somebody stand out and see, a bell cow back be developed over the course of the season? Everybody's kind of looking to Michael Carter as who that player may be, but Tevin Coleman's definitely had a lot of success. I wouldn't say he's necessarily been a bell cow, but he has had quite a few reps. Other than that, you just never know. Ty Johnson could potentially break out. Tevin Coleman can see a fair share. It could really be a Michael Carter. LaMichael Pirine has actually had some good things happening since the green and white scrimmage, and actually, a couple practices before. I've heard some good things after. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. If not, I have no problems with a running back by committee approach. We haven't had that in recent memory. It's always been somebody that's a go-to. LaDainian Tomlinson, Thomas Jones at one point. We had Sean Green for a while. So we've always had somebody that's pretty much been the go-to. We'll see if that ends up being the case throughout the course of the season. At the offensive line position, I would say injury-wise is the biggest concern. Will we have our starting five intact and for most of the season? That's yet to be seen. We've had a lot of injuries that have taken place at the interior spots of the line recently. Fingers crossed that we'll have those players all together by the start of the season. They've done a lot. We've done a lot to limit soft tissue injuries for us. So everything from just the new fitness and sports and health departments that Joe Douglas created to assist with the recovery aspects and avoiding those initial injuries to Salah's way of handling the training camps. Now we're getting a lot of reps, 11 on 11 to simulate live game prep, but we're also not doing just, full padded practices the entire time. So I think that's definitely a benefit on us, and it definitely shows we have a lot less injuries than we've had from, preseasons prior. At the wide receiver spot, I personally feel like there's kind of a two-piece question to this. For one, Elijah Moore has been the star of the offseason for the team. I want to know if it's just going to be a flash in the pan. We know, a lot of vanilla defenses, not everybody, even during the practices, we're not seeing the defense throw everything at the offense. But will he continue to dominate? And if not dominate, one of the star aspects of being a superstar at your position is that you still have an impact. Now, what that looks like changes. That could be the fact that you literally opened up, another receiver on the roster. So Corey Davis, maybe a Keelan Cole to have, a ridiculous game. Or that can mean that you contributed in other aspects. Maybe we did some jet sweeps that he takes advantage of, and he has a fantastic rushing day. Maybe he just gets into the end zone a lot, but his yardage totals don't look great. We'll want to know what that looks like. The other piece is I want to know, and this kind of gets back to the touchdown to interception ratio and stuff, how productive can this group really be? So We know we're going to be heavy on the rushing aspect because that's what's going to open up the play action. That's where we're expected to take those deep shots, or at least some of those medium passes, 20 yards deep or so. How productive can the wide receiver team really be? We want to see them capitalize on a lot of those opportunities that are going to come their way. We brought in a lot of players to take advantage of, catching traffic situations. Corey Davis has a ridiculous catch span. Denzel Mims, for all the slack that he gets, he has a ridiculous catch span, and we've seen it even in practices when he is getting, highlights and positive feedback provided that it's generally those catching traffic situations for him. So I would say those would be the two-parters for the wide receiver team. When it comes to the tight end position, again, it's not the greatest strength of the team at all. It's probably the weakest position overall. But will we have somebody that's a reasonable contributor? Tyler Croft seems like he may overtake the tight end one spot, but Chris Herndon can definitely still, tap into that rookie potential and production that we had. Maybe we'll see some breakout moments with him as, chemistry continues to get built throughout the team. But overall, I feel like it's a little bit lackluster. So how productive will the tight ends be? Will they be contributing more so from the run blocking game position of that, aspect of that position? Or will we actually see games where, they're the focal points of the offense? Because I can see LaFleur adjusting, who might have those breakout games at the positions according to whatever opponents that we're facing, where the advantages lie. And while tight end isn't the strength, you can always kind of game plan something in there. So it's really going to be about how effective, how impactful they're going to be from a game-to-game standpoint. When we flip over to the defense, for the defensive line, I feel like everybody's focus is going to be on Carl Lawson and, will he hit the double-digit sacks? Will he look like the superstar that we brought him in to be? And a lot of people are expecting that to be reflected in the sack numbers. Now, I do think that will be the case where we see him hit double-digit sacks. I don't know if he'll flirt with, 20 sacks in a season, but I could see him definitely hitting that 12 to 13 marker, maybe easily, at least based on his battles with Mekhi Becton, but that's yet to be seen. I think the question will be, for one, will Quentin Williams live up to continuing to develop into a superstar like we thought? That injury definitely could slow him down. Anytime you have an ankle injury, that's a huge concern. Also, with the rotation, how many players will we see that maybe potentially hit that 5 to 6 sack marker? John Franklin Myers comes to mind. He's, a player that I'm definitely falling in love with. I always have an Antonio Allen-like player at every position where I feel like if they have more snaps, more reps, they can definitely be not only starter potential, but maybe above average for sure, upper echelon talents. John Franklin Myers is kind of that person for me. I'm hearing a lot of great things about Bryce Huff. We know we got Vinny Curry and a lot of other veterans that came in. Ronald Blair, more of a running game specialist, but a lot of players that can contribute and potentially hit that mark. It's not crazy to think that we do have a, somewhat of a modern day New York sack exchange, which is exciting. So I think that would be what piques my curiosity more so. How many players do we see actively getting involved in kind of hitting 5-6 plus sacks during the season? At the linebacker position, I think for me personally, I really am just excited to see what happens with the rookies. How productive, how effective, how involved are Jamien Sherwood and Hamza Nasruddin really going to be? I think Hamza, ends up winning the starting role, and I think we see him quite frequently throughout the season. I see Jamien Sherwood getting a fair amount of reps in order to just, progress his developmental path. But two very different players. Jamien Sherwood, great coverage. He hits like a beast. So I think that'll be a lot of him coming downhill and us seeing, maybe him being more productive and force fumbles as long as he's taking the right angles and stuff. Jamien Sherwood, a sure tackler. I think he might have a little bit better instincts in coverage. I don't know who I want to give the nod to. I've said in a previous video that I kind of think Hamza might have the nod instinctually there as well, but that's to be determined. But for me, that's really what the main look is going to be. CJ Mosley, I'm really confident that he'll come back and dominate. And then We know that we have Gerard Davis on the other side, and kind of as I mentioned before, he's handling play calling duties, getting the defense together and stuff like that. We'll see if that continues during the season. But I think he'll be pretty effective for us. Pretty effective. I see a career revival on the horizon for him. At the cornerback position, I really want to see. We've never seen a zone heavy scheme for us, so we have no idea how that's going to realize itself on the field with the product. I want to know if our interceptions will rapidly boost up, because historically we don't have the best numbers. Darrelle Revis, one of the best lockdown corners in the NFL period, let alone just on our team. He wasn't known for having a ridiculous amount of interceptions like Marcus Peters or like an Xavier Howard has received, but you're not getting passes on him. I mean, he's held Calvin Johnson to 13 receiving yards, right? So, of course, we don't have anybody, at least to be determined, of that caliber on the roster yet. But I want to know if the turnovers will see a significant uptick, or will we see kind of more of a bend but don't break mentality where, players, Aaron Rodgers and such, they can come in and have 300-plus yard games, but no touchdowns. So we'll see how that plays out for us. That's kind of along the lines of the same thing at the safety position. To be honest, I'm more so concerned with some of the developmental players that we might have come back. Ashton Davis, he worked his way into starting roles in college, and I kind of expected a lot of the same thing, but injuries have played a huge mark for him. So I want to know, can he get back on the field? Can he be productive, involved, an integral part of whatever success that we have on the defense? Marcus May, I don't see him taking any days off, right? So I think he still has a very productive season for us. Maybe it's just enough for them to say, okay, you're in the new, installation of the defense that we have. You're having success. Let's keep him on for a couple more years. Other than that, Lamarcus Joyner, I've heard a lot of great things about. He had a ridiculous game during the green and white scrimmage as well. Lots of pass blocks defended. There was a great catch on him by Elijah Moore. But outside of that, he seemed like he's been pretty involved and pretty efficient in not getting any successful passes converted against him. At the punter position, I'm a bit concerned. I really like Braden Mann, not just for his hitting ability, but just in general, he seems like he kind of had that Marcus King kind of touch potentially. The green and white game wasn't the best. Sometimes when people overly focus on a certain aspect of the position or skill set, things can fall to the wayside. So I think my concern with him is, do we see a regression potentially? As far as the kicker position, really we just need to see who's going to be more consistent, right? Who's the consistent kicker, and will we last with them throughout the season? Teams are quick to kind of pull the strings at that spot because we know how critical it is. The game comes down to inches, and those inches definitely make a lot of the difference, and we've seen that effect in the playoffs and, people potentially vying for playoff positions. But let me know what burning questions you guys have for the team. I love to definitely incorporate that into a future video and, try to get those addressed based on the info that I have. But appreciate you guys for sticking with me, and looking forward to breaking down the last specialist positions and the safety one. But peace.